Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. I am Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to another episode of The Wise Ones. Our star of our show, Mr. red.olaughlin, is backstage, and he is joined by a very dear friend of both of ours, Mr. Hiett Ives. We're super excited to welcome him back. First, let's bring out red.olaughlin and find out what he's been up to, other than this being his third show of the day. Hello, how are you?
Excellent as always. Just another wonderful day here in paradise with a little P in the Houston, Texas area.
How does it feel to do 3 shows and you're going to be doing a 4th one? Are you getting used to it now? Is it in your blood?
Well, I have reserved Thursdays for my shows, which means Tuesdays and Wednesdays are dedicated to being prepped and ready to go, regardless of what the topic is. We did a show early this morning, kind of an unusual one, with a Democrat presidential candidate from California, a virtual unknown, Larry Azevedo, and he was on a couple of weeks ago. But typically, I'm not in the mode of interviewing people for presidential candidacy. So that was kind of a little bit different. I had to go back into my notes and take a look at what some of his positions were and what are some of the general topics that people want to know about. If you're going to ask somebody a question, try to make it relevant. So that required a little bit of time and energy to get ready for that one. You know, the next show we had was on the food and our emotions, and we talked about scientific diets and really, what does the word scientific really mean? And we kind of plunged through a number of different things and came to the conclusion it's really more of a marketing term than it is that you actually take and test a diet with a group of people in a sample and follow that for a long period of time as if you were releasing a new vaccine or something like that. Regardless, that took a little bit of effort because I wanted to cover 3 specific diets that are not commonly found around. You kind of hear about them maybe on TV or radio if you're driving in the car, but they're not out there. If you do a search for them, you could find them. But if you just say scientific diet, they don't show up. And then today we have Hiett Ives. Hiett's been on the show before. He's a very good friend of both of us. I've worked with him on a couple of books, just like I have with Dr. Jacalyn. And he has some unique experiences that I thought would be, let's bring Hiett back and kind of see what's going on. And then our next hour, we're talking about pain management, pain control. What can you do about it? And I think this is section 6 or 7. I'm not sure. We're in there. We've gone to a slightly different format by incorporating the E360 network in with the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And the format for that is just slightly different, not much, but enough that it requires just a minor adjustment in focus. And so based on that, I've had to readjust my slides a little bit and plan differently for the presentation. The crux of this show, basically today, the wise ones, and our special guest today, been here many times in the past, and it's helped us out in the listening mentor program that you put together. He's been active with his wife on some of the videos there, and he's been a participant in several other aspects of the USA Global TV Radio Network. So let's welcome back Mr. Hiett Ives.
Hi, Hiett. Welcome.
Good afternoon, y'all.
It's nice to see you, Hiett. And yes, a big thank you because of how involved you and Linda were in The Power of Listening, those role plays that you did. I go back and I watch them and I just start to laugh because we had so much fun doing it, didn't we?
Well, the fun one, we were supposed to be doing role plays, and Linda, my wife, would say, "Role play? This is real life."
Absolutely. But you really did a great job, both of you. And listening is key to everything that we do in life. So, Hiett, for people who haven't met you before, you are a business to business trade show expert. You are an Amazon #1 best-selling author. You are an editor, and you are also a genius when it comes to the English language. You have a fabulous newsletter that you send out. I always enjoy reading these topics that you come up with, these things I've never even heard of that are part of the English language. So tell us where you got your passion specifically for writing and the English language, and then we'll get into some of these other things.
My father was career military. We spent 4 years in the UK, and he put me in a Jesuit boarding school. The British Jesuits, it was a 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade annual essay contest. 5th graders wrote 1 page, 2 page, 3 page, 4 page. End of the year, they awarded best writer in the school. It was always an 8th grader, except the year I arrived as a 7th grader, and I was recognized as the best writer in the school as an underclassman. A few years later, I said, if the British Jesuits recognize that skill, perhaps I ought to hone it. So I did, and I have become editor of a number of magazines and so on. And I did a presentation to a networking group where I introduced myself as That Ain't Not Right, the use and abuse of the English language. I gave that as my introduction, and one of the attendees said, you need to turn that into a newsletter. He said, come up with 50 of your best friends. This was 6 years ago. And on Tuesday, October the 25th, 2016 or 18, anyway, whatever 6 years ago was, we published the first edition to 50 people. This Tuesday's edition went out to 850 people. And over the 6.5 years that it's been in existence, almost 7 years now, there's been over 1,200 people that have subscribed to it. So it was the recognition by the best educators in the world that I had a talent, and then taking that recognition and honing it. And I love it to the point that I love editing and writing books, articles, white labeling myself. And it's just one of those, pinch yourself because you're getting paid for doing what you enjoy doing.
I love that. I love that. Another person who just loves what it is they're doing in life, and it really comes through.
Absolutely. And then from that, when I got into the business world, I like to do things with my hands. I was a newbie with a company that had a 20 by 20 booth at the a business-to-business trade show, and they said, okay, newbie, go down and set that booth up. Well, I went down, I set it up, enjoyed the atmosphere of the trade show, and met a British gentleman who lives here in Houston, who said, business-to-business marketing is where you need to be, and business-to-business trade show marketing is where you really need to be. So I took him at his word and honed that into going with a company that was an international manufacturer of oil equipment, to where I did, in a 6-year period, I did over 20 shows in 9 different cities in 12 different countries and all over the world. And that's where my second, that ain't not the 88 Successful Event Strategies book came from. This is the one where I got #1 bestseller.
Congratulations. And do you want to read from that for our audience?
Oh, geez.
Sure.
Well, what this is, I was actually doing a daily or weekly deal of points, pro tips. Pro tip 21, team up with fellow exhibitors. Team up with appropriate fellow exhibitors at your next trade show and see how much of your booth attendance increases. Be creative in how and with whom you collaborate. I took my oil equipment manufacturer to the Offshore Technology Conference that had 2,000 exhibiting companies. I had 16 other companies exhibiting with my product or service in their booth. These smaller companies, did subparts for valves, for blowout preventers, for various pieces of product that I had, that I gave them my cutaways so they could use, their association with us to enhance themselves. And I obviously, conversely, it was enhanced by those 16 other companies because they were basically associated with my company, which was the Cadillac of the industry.
Let me back you up just a second there, Hiett. You use the term B2B, which we understand, but some parts of the audience may not. So why don't you describe B2B, B2C, and then we can take on the next step beyond that one, because I think there's just a couple little things there that we understand very well, but there might be part of our audience that doesn't.
Okay. Most of our audience, I'm sure, has been to a lawn and garden show, a dog show, a cat show, a consumer show. That's called business. The companies that are in that business, in dog care, cat care, lawn care, they are the business and they are selling to consumers. So that's a B2C show. Your most of your Saturday, Sunday, weekend shows are B2C shows. The B2B show is business to business. That means products that you are never going to see. You pump your gas, but you have no idea how that gas got produced. Well, that gas got produced by drilling it out of the ground, and the equipment used to get that gas out of the ground has to be sold to the drillers and the producers. So business to business is basically providing products and services that go into creating the product or service that's eventually offered to the buying public.
Okay, so when you talk about a trade show, that's not necessarily the same thing as a convention, or how do you distinguish a trade show from another event that might be perceived as a trade show?
Well, interesting that you say asked that. When I was coming up with the title of this book, 88 Successful Event Strategies, I had originally 88 Successful Trade Show Strategies, and then I did a synonym search and basically trade shows and events are synonymous. It's some people talk about trade shows, some people talk about events. In the international realm, events is used more, but it's basically the products, the providers of goods and services to somebody else to get their job done better.
Okay, and you look at it from two perspectives. You're kind of unique in this regard. You look at it as if you're sitting there in the booth, it's your product, your service, and how do you perform better? How do you get more money, your return on your investment? And from the flip side, you're the person walking down the aisle and looking. So you want to describe both people so that people have an appreciation for the service that you do offer and the business acumen that you have accumulated.
Let me do the latter because it's the more fun one and one that more business people could probably relate to. And I call them rogue delegates. A rogue delegate is somebody that is going to a trade show, a business-to-business trade show, ostensibly where the delegates are people that are buying the products and services that the exhibitors are showing. A rogue delegate is somebody that is trying to sell his or her product or service to the exhibiting companies. Well, some of these trade shows charge up to $3,000 to $4,000 for a 10 by 10 piece of real estate, that the last thing they want is people coming up trying to sell them something. They're looking to find clients to buy their product or service. So I teach delegates how to go to a trade show and get the information they need from the exhibiting company so that they can follow up with them and hopefully sell them the product or service that they're representing without getting thrown off the floor. Because too often, well, I'll just leave it at that. So that's one side of the ledger. The other side of the ledger is those people that have spent $3,000 to $5,000 on a piece of real estate. How do they best get the clients that they want? Well, I offer them a trade show leads guarantee, and basically I do that by teaching them open-ended questions that they ask of every single delegate passing by their booth that requires that delegate to qualify or disqualify themselves. And basically that's starting there's no hello, how are you, how's the show going? It's one of 5 questions. Who in your company is responsible for this that I'm showing behind me? What application do you have for this product or service that I've got here? When was the last time you bought one of these? Who, what, when, where, and how are the 5 questions. And basically that requires the person you're asking that question to qualify or disqualify themselves. And in many cases, they may say, obviously when they say, I don't know what you're talking about, we don't use that, fine, get out of the way so I can talk to somebody that does. But they may say, well, that's not my area of expertise, but I know we're having a need for that. To which you say, and who is responsible for that? And is he or she here at the show? And can you introduce me to them? So it's the open-ended questions preceded by me getting with them. I will not allow a client to exhibit more than 3 products or services at the show, or feature, let me put it that way, feature. Maximum number of products or services that you can feature at a booth where I'm helping you is 3. Now, you may have 6 or 7 underneath the counter, but these are your top 3, your money makers. I had a president of a company that had a list of 10, and he literally, I got it down to 3, and the hour before we were opening, he said, this isn't going to work. I need to have all 10. Within an hour of the show's opening, he came back to me and said, thank you. Because what had happened in the past, somebody would come and say, oh, point number 3 or point number 7, tell me about that. Well, unbeknownst to the person asking that question, that was the client's loss leader product. That was the last thing you wanted to talk about. When you use the top 3, then the prospect is likely to say, well, can you also do X and Y and Z or one? Oh yeah, sure. That's part of our service package. So I help clients get focused in what they are going to exhibit, and then how to exhibit it, and then how to follow up on that.
Very interesting. Thank you for sharing that, Hiett. And just one quick note and then a comment is that I know both you and Red are distinguished Toastmasters, and 3 is the pivotal number as to how many topics you should cover in a presentation. That 3 is a key number. So the other thing I wanted to mention, you have a lot of expertise when it helps when helping people plan events. As you know, we were looking to have a conference here for USA Global, and you have a lot of expertise in this area as well. We didn't go through with it as of yet, but that is definitely a way that you can help people. So if people are considering taking part of their budget and putting together an event, and maybe they're going to include a trade show as well, how can you work with them to give the overarching strategy and design the project?
Okay. Let's take a vertical. Let's take medical. Let's say a company has a product, and I have a couple of clients right now that have products that are in the medical arena. I ask them to answer 2 questions. 1, where do they go to get professional training in their discipline. And Red had mentioned earlier, or maybe you had, Jacalyn, that in many cases, various industries require annual certification. So they have to go to get certified. They have to get annual training. So where do you go to get that? Because in most cases, those events also are tied in with a trade show. The second question is, where do you go to assemble with people doing what you're doing, or people that are in the vertical that you're wanting to get into? Anesthesiologists, nurses, human resource managers. There are associations that meet on a regular basis, and of course, we're very blessed here in Houston because if you can't find a local chapter of something in the city of Houston, there's probably nothing. There's probably isn't an association anywhere for that. But I advise them to get involved with the associations, the societies that put on those kind of events that then allow you as an exhibitor to have either a primary product or an ancillary product. The difference there, I have a client that has a hardware software package that goes into fire engines. So as they're pulling out of the station, they can call up the schematics of the house, of the warehouse, of the office building, of the warehouse that they're going to, so they know what they're going into. Well, I'm obviously taking that company to the Fire Chiefs Association annual meeting and have a booth there. But I'm also taking them to the International Association of Emergency Vehicle Manufacturers show. Why? Because that emergency vehicle manufacturers show are the manufacturers of the fire engines and the police cars and the ambulances. And the fire chief has sent one of his lieutenants, who is responsible for their fleet of 125 vehicles, to that show. The lieutenant sees my company's my client's product and comes back to the chief and says, "Sign it. We need these." Well, that's why the fire chief sent him there. So he signs the invoice. He might also say, "You know what? I remember seeing them at the fire chief show. I wish I had thought of that. Thank you for." So it's neither or. So it's I have a medical product that I took to the doctors' shows, that of the doctors that needed to buy it, they had no reason to buy it. I decided where do those doctors get their clients? Well, they get their clients from lawyers who send them to the doctors of these particular specialties. And I went to the Trial Lawyers Association and showed the same product, but with the benefit side. And the lawyer said, "Oh, yeah, we want that." I said, "Fine, go back and tell your doctors this is what you want. And oh, by the way, we're the only company that provides that."
Wow, that is impressive.
We've been through a pandemic here in the last couple of years. Trade shows before the COVID event had a certain number of people attending, certain number of exhibitors. Things have changed. Talk about that a little bit. What do we see now, and how do you adjust for that?
That's one of those good news, bad news. For the show organizers, it's bad news because fewer companies, some companies didn't survive COVID, and some barely survived it. And a lot of people that were exhibiting before are not exhibiting now. And some of the larger exhibitors that had 20 by 20 islands have now got a 10 by 20 inline, or had a 10 by 30 inline that now have a 10 by 10 inline. So the number of exhibitors has gone down. So the shows have gotten smaller. Now that will grow back over time, but right now the reality is that the shows that used to be large are not as large. The second seemingly negative is that companies that used to send 8, 10, 12 people to the show over 3 days, maybe let the operating people go and then the manufacturing people go and the salespeople go, and have a much larger attendance at the show, are now only sending 2. But the 2 that they are sending are the decision maker and the influencer. So you as a small, you're now an exhibitor in a smaller market or a tighter market, and you have the opportunity to focus on the specific needs and requirements of the buyers that you want to go after. And so even though there are fewer exhibitors and fewer delegates, those that are there are getting a whole lot more out of it. And the importance and the benefits of shows are increasing in spite of COVID.
Well, let me take that one step further, because I know I put you in the same classification as a master networker here in the Houston area. That if it's a day a week and you're not networking with some group, it's an unusual situation. That there are a lot of different things going on. So what's changed that you've seen, again, prior to COVID and nowadays with networking? Because we had a lot of in-person things, then all of a sudden we were on Zoom. Now we're trying to get back to in-person, and it's just not quite the same world. So why don't you talk a little bit about that, please?
Most of the groups that went Zoom and then went hybrid, almost all of them are trying to go back to just live again. I know my Toastmasters group has went hybrid for literally the last year, and we have eliminated the hybrid part. If you're not here for the meeting, you're not here. Now, one of the good news, bad news, I was at an event this past weekend for veterans. It was put together by the Veterans Association, and it was veteran-owned companies, and also to help veterans find employment. And they were very proud of the fact that they had it at our downtown exhibit hall, which is very prestigious, and the George R. Brown Convention Center. However, parking downtown around the George R. Brown is $30 and up. And they had very poor attendance, because even though entrance into the expo was at no cost, there are a lot of people that, one, didn't want to invest $30 in the parking, and two, have to walk the distance that some of those parking lots are. Yeah, you can get it for less, but it doubles and triples the distance you have to walk before you get to the hall. So there are some unintended consequences. The organizers were very proud on Saturday morning to have the mayor there, and a lot of hoopla, but they were very disappointed at the how few people came, and one of the things was the cost of coming.
I noticed. Go ahead, Dr. Jacalyn, please.
Sorry, you touched on something I think is really important, and we could have probably a whole series of shows just about this. But when someone is interested in hosting an event, putting it together, working with you, how do they know if they should charge, or if the event should be free, or if there's an early bird special, or what's any keys that you can offer in terms of pricing strategy for an event?
Well, if you're going to make it free, somebody's got to pay for it. So you better have the pockets deep enough to put together the facility rental, the equipment rental, the pipe and drape, the carpeting, the whatever. And if you're going to charge for that, then you want to have the charge that's going to cover the expense because it costs one thing to a lot of hotel ballroom shows will charge $500 for a 10 by 10 space. My client at the Veterans Show at the George R. Brown cost him $2,500 for that same 10 by 10 space. My client at the Offshore Technology Conference and the oil show that I'm taking another client to is paying $3,700 for that same 10 by 10 space. So it's, you locate your event commensurate with what you are planning to charge and what you think the exhibiting public will be willing to pay. And then, if you're going to charge for people to come to the show, it's one thing to charge, a $10 fee to get on the floor to walk the hall. It's another thing to charge $50. Now, if it's that if it's the show where the $3,500 exhibitors are, or you've got some high class exhibitors, so you might be willing to pay $50 to see them. Am I answering the question?
Yes, you're definitely answering the question. Thank you. It's very helpful.
I've noticed some places here in the area where I live at, they have free parking and free events. And then sometimes you go there, it's still free parking, but the events cost. And so I'm guessing it's based on a number of other factors. So it's a very flexible thing. But with regard to networking, in the old days, we had our business cards, and you'd pick something up and you'd go here and pull them out and hand them around. And nowadays, I went to an event, one that you highly recommended to me, in which I don't have my phone here, but you hold your phone up and you connect via LinkedIn to somebody else's LinkedIn account. Tell us a little bit about that type of networking, because I discovered that, and then I also discovered it has some very good pluses, but also has a major minus. Yeah,
it makes the follow-up a little easier, if you will, because if you're used to using LinkedIn as a marketing tool where you're meeting people, identifying people, sharing information with people, by sharing that QR code and sharing each other's LinkedIn and linking yourself to each other, you can stay in touch with them on a lot more regular basis. And I'm of the old school like you. I like business cards. I am slowly learning to use the LinkedIn approach because one, the format itself, LinkedIn itself categorizes them and alphabetizes things and so it becomes easier for you to manage your database using a pre-established template, if you will, than to try to set it up yourself.
Well, I noticed the first time, obviously, I didn't know how to do it, and I had to have somebody show me, okay, they took my phone and they did this. Wow, boom. That's kind of neat. All that information, mine transferred to their phone, theirs transferred to mine. And I was kind of fortunate on the first couple because I took the time to say, thank you for the connection. Would love to talk to you about such and such. And I noticed that when I went back later on, that time, that date, that communication with the other person was in my phone where I could find it easily. On that day, at that time, this thing was important to me with that particular person. However, there were several other people that I met that I wish I had done the same thing to, because all of a sudden they're in my system, but I have no idea where they are because I didn't do any connection with them other than the electronic connection, which doesn't leave an easy to follow road. So if I connect with somebody via LinkedIn just by putting the two phones together, that electronic connection works nicely, but there's still a requirement somewhere along the way to recognize, okay, I met Hiett Ives okay, B2B business, whatever it may happen to be, and I send you a message saying, great meeting you today, Hiett. I want to get together next week, if at all, and let's talk about B2B. Okay, now I have date, time, person, and something to talk about, and it's all in my phone, easy to find, and already adjusted for what I want to be important. And I've already communicated that to you for a follow-up. But if I didn't do that follow-up right then and there with that person, they're in my phone, but I don't know where they are. And that I found to be a little discouraging, because I got home, I wish I can't remember who they are. And there may be some solutions to that, but I was not told how to solve it so easy.
Yeah. See, there are way too many business cards that I didn't do that with, and I was going through some of these, and it's difficult to remember all of them, and it's a whole lot easier when somebody else or some other methodology is connecting those things up. And one other thing on the trade show, I have clients that, let's say this bookcase is my booth, and I've set it up and I'm ready to leave for the show to open tomorrow morning. They would stand in front of that booth with their phone and say, "Thanks for stopping by. Great visiting with you. Going to get together with you real soon." Click. Now, why did they do that? Because the next day, when somebody comes by their booth and they hit it off, and the person leaves the booth, they all of a sudden get a communications on their phone, and they open it up, and it's, "Hi, great to see you. Look forward to working with you. Going to get back with you real soon." The video that was taken the day before. That's one of those how to start the follow-up process after a trade show.
Well, I like you. I prefer to have business cards. I write on them, with the date, who they were, how I met them, whatever. But I notice that when I start transferring, sometimes I want to make sure I have this person in my own catalog. Some are real easy to read. Some business cards, because of the font they use or the color combination. I mean, even with a magnifying glass, it's extremely difficult to figure out their contact information. It looks nice, but to retrieve it, sometimes it's a little bit more difficult. It's almost like you need a class on how to design a business card.
Yeah. There is white off of black, which is back asswards. The human eye much prefers to read black off of white. And the font size is infinitesimal, almost like you said. I have a magnifying glass on an arm on my desk, so I literally will, in many cases, have to take a business card and put it behind the magnifying glass to be able to read it.
Hey, gentlemen, just a tip I wanted to share. We had Dr. Ivan Meisner, the founder of BNI, on here, and he said that when you're traveling abroad, be very careful about writing on business cards, because in some cultures that is an insult, which I didn't know. Other countries, not here. Yeah.
I don't. I write on them, but I don't always write on them at the event that I'm at, because I try not to do more than about 3, maybe 4 people max, where I can have a decent conversation with somebody. I know who they are, know what they are, and then in the privacy of my car or somewhere else, then I write whatever I need to know on that thing. But I did not know that. Thank you very much, Dr. Jacalyn.
It's Dr. Ivan Meisner, not me, but thank you. Well, we have already gone through this whole episode. I have so many more questions for you, Hiett. One of them being, if you are going to have speakers at your event, how do you know when you should pay them or if you should pay them? Many of us are asked to speak, and we speak because it's a good thing professionally, and that other times people are paid for it. So maybe you come back and help us out with that on another episode.
The first question you ask is, what is your budget? If they say, will you speak? And you say, and what's your budget for that speaking position? Some of them may say, well, we'll pay up to X. And sometimes that might be twice of what you were thinking it was going to be. Or on the other side, they may say it why, but then you can say, well, because of your such and such an organization, and I want to do, long-term business with you, how about we do it? I'll do it for less. That's the way I price my pre-show training sessions. I adjust it to the organization. I do it for a company, an organization that a nonprofit that does an annual business-to-business trade show between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I know he's charging his exhibitors, $500 for their space. So I'll say, here's something that I normally charge $1,500 for to my major corporate companies, but because you're with this organization, I'm only going to charge you $350, knowing that's within their budget range, and so on and so forth. So lots of ways to handle that.
Yeah, that's very helpful. I'm going to be chairing a panel at a conference in Philadelphia next month. So I also think it's a great opportunity. I don't think this is going to happen at this event, but if you are an author, to be able to do some book signings at conferences, I think that's a big plus. If you're not being paid, to be able to say, can I bring my books?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, hi, we've been showing your contact information throughout the show, but what's the best way for people to get in touch with you, and who would you like to contact you?
Easiest is Hiett at hiettives.com and 832-372-6900. Those are the two that I answer most regularly. And my ideal client is somebody that is already doing trade shows that wants to expand their trade show marketing footprint into other disciplines, into other states, into other countries. Take the local to the state level, take the state to the national level, take the national to the international level. I can help people grow their trade show marketing function and guarantee them qualified leads in the process.
For our audio audience that is not familiar with Hiett, it's Hiett.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's Hiett Ives, HIETTIVES.com.
Thank you, Ed. I'm also an editor-writer. If you have something that you want edited or written, let me know. I'm also a voiceover talent now and audiobook presenter. I just recently worked with the the associate dean of the University of St. Thomas, who wrote a book on the U.S. government, and I am the voices of two people. I am the voice of Bernie Sanders in part of it, and I am the voice of Joe Biden in the other part.
Wow! Congratulations, Hiett. That's fantastic. I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Ooh, brilliant. Brilliant. Well, continued best wishes for everything. And please do come back, and don't be a stranger, Hiett. Although you shouldn't say don't. Be a regular visitor. How about that?
Yes, ma'am. Will do.
All right. Thanks again. Bye, Hiett.
Bye, y'all. Appreciate it.
Well, it's great seeing Hiett as always, and he's bringing so much information and awareness. So thank you for inviting him. And Red, before we go, I'm going to try to, it's a lot. I don't know if I'm going to get it all in one, but thank you for all of your help with all of these books that you have helped get published. I don't know if there's 9 or 10 here, but this is all within 2 years. Can you believe it? It's absolutely unbelievable to me.
Yeah, you've kind of gone crazy here in the last year with writing. So, and I appreciate the opportunity to help you on that.
Thank you. And Hiett was the editor on, I don't even know if it was 1 or 2, and I don't remember which ones they were, but thank you, Hiett. So, Red, how can people get in touch with you, and who would you like to contact you?
Red at red.olaughlin.com is probably the absolute easiest way to reach me. Red, the color RED, .olaughlin, spelled OLAUGHLIN at gmail.com, or go to red.olaughlin.com, and my contact information's there. My preferred method is just call me on the phone. It's in my banner on my website, 281-687-1188. And again, red.olaughlin@gmail.com is an email that I check quite often. So those are the two best ways. And for people who are interested in writing a book, getting a book published, needing a speaker, those are things that I can help people with. Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn.
Thank you, Red. I know you're going to put your rollerblades on and go over to the other studio, and I'll see you shortly. And for those who are watching, we have somebody that is super fantastic. That is one of our new sponsors. She is in the United Kingdom, and her name is Ella Holly. So while we wrap up the show, I'm going to share my screen and take a look and a listen to things that we do with artist Ella Holly.
If I look into your heart, are you looking back at me? Am I everything you want, baby? If my heart was in your hands, would it be for you and me? Would you wanna keep it close, baby? Right on time, find the right guy, the one I dreamed he'd be. Give it all that you can, stumble and fall. Love will set me free. Baby, 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 don't you know you drive me crazy? I love the things that we do. Baby, 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 if you say that I'm your lady, 'cause I can't stop thinking of you. If you told me to my face, you would lie right through your teeth. Would anybody know this is meant for me? I'm not the one to cry or throw my heart away. Can you show me all your loving? 'Cause I'm tired of these games. Right on time, find the right guy, the one I dreamed he'd be. Give it all that you can, stumble and fall. Love will set me free. Baby, 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 don't you know you drive me crazy? I love the things that we do. Baby, 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 if you say that I'm your lady, 'cause I can't stop thinking of you. Wanna play the game, making up, faking up, it's what we do. We play the game, shake it up, wake it up, I'm thinking of you. It's alright, it's alright, it's alright. Reach for the stars. Baby, 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 don't you know you drive me crazy? I love the things that we do. Baby, 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 if you say that I'm your lady, 'cause I can't stop thinking of you. Baby, 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 baby.
Well, there you go. Ella Holly, things that we do. And how about those waistlines, Red? You're on mute. Okay.
Yes, I noticed those.
Yeah. I don't think I was even born with a waistline like that. It's super impressive. We wish Ella Holly all the luck in the world with her single. It's fantastic. We love it. All right, Red, you and I are gone so that we can come back for the next show. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye now.